Public service remains very critical and crucial to national development and democratic stability in any society. Hence, its roles in national development cannot be undervalued. There is no gainsaying that the public service plays a very critical role in galvanizing the nation and its resources towards development. An efficient public service is the main catalyst in the development of a nation, while on the other hand, its inefficiency constitutes one of the heaviest millstones around the neck of any developing nation. It is therefore important to note that the public service is the vehicle and machinery of public policy formulation and implementation, and has a critical role to play in the all-round growth and development of any nation. Since the return to democracy in Nigeria, Lagos State Civil Service, with its over 150,000 population workforce, continues to play a major role in delivering dividends of democracy to the teeming populace. In appreciation of this role, a day has been set aside to celebrate and appreciate the civil servants nationwide.
The time has come that the public service rise to the occasion by developing new approaches that will enhance better service delivery. On our part, that is as government, we will continue to encourage and reward diligence and resourcefulness. We will be committed to deliver on our campaign promises and ensure a better life for our citizens and the entire workforce. We however count on your continued support and cooperation. Once again, I congratulate the entire public servants of Lagos State on this occasion and wish you happy celebration.
June 23rd has been set aside annually worldwide to celebrate this set of people who are the machinery behind any government. The year 2015 Civil Service Day was not different in Lagos State, with the theme, the role of public service in women empowerment, innovation and accessible service delivery. This year's theme obviously focused on the role of women in nation building.
The commemoration of the annual Public Service Day was one of the resolutions of the 1994 Conference of African Ministers of Civil Service held in Tangier, Morocco, where all African countries concord to set aside 23rd June of every year as the Public Service Day to recognize the virtues of service to humanity. It is important to add that the day has now assumed a global dimension owing to the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 57/277 of December 2002 for the commemoration of the year 2015 Public Service Day. Today's event is very unique and memorable as it is the first in the series to be held during this new administration's tenure. Great public servants of Lagos State. Great public servants of Lagos State. Greatest public servants of Lagos State. You are the greatest. It's undisputable. Today belongs to you and others like you and I, who by choice have committed and devoted our lives to the service of the public. Importantly, the commemoration of this day is meant to acknowledge and celebrate the values and virtues of public service, highlight the important contributions of the public service in development process, and draw attention to the working conditions in the public service. Owing to the recognition and appreciation of the state government of the workforce, the day became established in the state public service calendar and has been celebrated every year since year 2001. Today's event being the 15th edition. It is particularly pleasing to note the appropriateness of this year's theme, which is consistent with the focus of the present administration to build a public service devoid of discrimination, such that every public servant, irrespective of the status, gender, religion, or creed, would be given the opportunity to rise to the peak of their career. It is a thing of pride to note that the Lagos State Public Service has continued to recognize and respect the contributions of women who are rightfully earning their place in the scheme of things on merit in Lagos State.
The primary objective of the celebration is to appreciate the productive efforts of public servants towards service delivery and draw attention to the working condition of public servants who devote their lives to serving the public. Meanwhile, in Lagos State, the year 2005 celebration provided the opportunity to reflect on the journey and progress made towards transforming the state civil service into a modern, innovative, efficient, and effective instrument of governance and development of Lagos. With a public lecture which had Mrs. Obi Ezekwesili as the guest lecturer, it was another opportunity for civil servants to learn and be enlightened on how to refocus and improve the civil service so as to have a proper structure in place for an effective and efficient civil service.
Research has shown that when nations are unable to translate their potentials to outcomes of development positively improving the welfare of their citizens, we must query the quality of governance. So, research says to us that it is the absence of good governance that explains the failures of societies like Nigeria. So, if we know that that is what research says, that the absence of good governance and the prevalence of poor governance, regardless of what part of the world that country is located, results in poor outcomes of governance, then we must be interested in understanding how a state like Lagos State features in that conversation. We can only understand, though, by asking ourselves, what is good governance? Good governance is epitomized by predictable, open, and enlightened policy making. A bureaucracy imbued with a professional ethos, acting in furtherance of the public good. That is why you are called public service. The rule of law, transparent processes, and a strong civil society participating in public affairs. It is when you have these kind of conditions, that you can say that good governance is going on. The key features of good governance include legitimacy, freedom of association, responsive legal frameworks, bureaucratic accountability and transparency, availability and validity of information, effective and efficient public sector management, and cooperation between government and civil society organizations. Poverty alleviation, employment creation, environmental protection, social inclusion and integration, economic and population management, which are all aspects of sustainable development, are contingent upon the existence of good governance. So you can see clearly that the absence of good governance completely limits the possibilities of any society being able to improve the quality of life of citizens. What we know is that Governments simply exist in order to perpetually pursue the objective of improvement in the standard of living of citizens, whether they be governments of poor countries or governments of rich countries. The raison d'etre of government, the leitmotif, the fundamental reason that government exists is to pursue the singular objective of improving the quality of life of citizens. The question is, can we say that that is our story? If more than 100 million Nigerians constitute the more than 60% that are classified as poor, we're not. It's a very, very sad story, especially considering that it is a country which, unlike smaller nation states on the continent of Africa, when you talk about states like the Central African Republic or Guinea-Bissau or Equatorial Guinea or Liberia or Sierra Leone or Rwanda, these are small countries when you compare them to Nigeria. When you compare the endowment of Nigeria to these countries, the fact that just on the basis of oil revenue, that in the last 50 years or thereabout of our earning revenue from oil, that we have earned nothing less than $800 billion. Can such massive resources utilized within the definition of good governance have produced the dismal results? The public service of a country is that second layer of leadership of the public sphere, distinct from the political level. There are two levels of leadership of the public space. The political level, whether it is a democracy or it is an aberrant system of government like a military government, that's one level of leadership. The other level of leadership is then the public service. Whereas the political level is a level subject to all forms of variabilities, and especially defined in a democracy as being subject to political competitive process. And so, for example, it is only by virtue of political competition that you have a new deputy governor and not the former one that you knew. The political leadership is responsible for envisioning what governance would produce. They envision what governance would produce. They set the broad vision of what they want to see Lagos State become. Vision. But vision without action, without a plan, is daydreaming. So in the governance process, you've got the vision by the political leadership. It requires a system, an organized system of execution that is powered by the civil service and more broadly defined the public service in order to achieve the vision. And so the public service is that level of governance leadership powered by the technical and well-trained experts, assured with a security of tenure that is consistent with the longevity of nation building.
Considering the fact that public servants always remain in place to serve all governments that come into offices, it is expected that the lecture will help make a difference in bringing to fruition the ideas and initiatives of the government. The day was also another opportunity to reward and recognize those officers who had served the Lagos State government for 30 years and above. The 2015 Long Service Merit Award had a total of 551 public servants as recipients, 4 permanent secretaries, 41 male directors. Female directors were 79, 155 male staff, while the female staff population was 272 recipients.
And of course, appreciation of your 35 years of loyal and dedicated service to the state government. Congratulations. And for your loyal and dedicated service to the state government, we appreciate and we wish you the best. On behalf of the Lagos State government and of course the office of the head of service, I congratulate you for being a loyal and dedicated civil servant to, of course, delivering good service to the people of Lagos. Congratulations and well done. Present you this award from
I feel highly elated, and I did not regret whatever contribution that I have made to the system. And I'm even promising to do more, because most of the young ones today see us as a role model. Because you can imagine somebody who came in level 8 with HND, even when they were given levels 7 to HND elsewhere, Lagos State government gave me level 8 when I came in. After 15 years, when they discovered something in me, I was sponsored for a full-time program at the prestigious University of Ibadan. So to God be the glory. And I'm very grateful to Almighty God and to the system itself.
My advice to them is that they should take things easy. Nowadays, the young ones, they don't have patience. They want to get rich quickly, not minding that they have to learn a lot of things before they get there. So they should take their time. They should listen to their superior officers. They should emulate their superior officers, especially those who they know are very good, so that they will learn a lot from them, and they too can be, passing that down to other people coming after them.
Meanwhile, the Akiwumi Ambode administration, on assuming the mantle of leadership in the state, immediately embarked on the restructuring of the civil service to further strengthen the civil service, while at the same time reducing the cost of governance in the state. To this end, there have been a noticeable change with the realignment of ministries, departments and agencies across the board. The significance of this, amongst others, includes improving on the processes and procedures for effective service delivery.
The cost of governance is so high, it's really, really enormous. So what the present administration in Lagos State is doing is try to see how it can realign, restructure, so that there is no duplication, that civil servants are effectively, utilized, and that, the cost of governance is reduced to the minimal, and more importantly, to ensure that we provide the enabling environment, for the private sector to thrive. So that's why a lot of restructuring needs to be done. New, and because knowledge is not static, so we have to innovate. We have to creativity comes into play, and that's how you get development. So all of those things need to take place constantly, so that we'll continue to develop and not just stay in one place.
A noticeable part of restructuring is the creation of the Office of Civic Engagement, which is saddled with the responsibility of the erstwhile Political and Legislative Powers Bureau, alongside additional duties, while the former Office of Transformation has had its scope expanded and will now be known as the Office of Transformation, Creativity and Innovation. The roles of the former Debt Management Office and Office of the Special Advisor on Taxation and Revenue has been reassigned to the Office of Finance. The Ministry of Home Affairs and Culture undertakes the assigned responsibilities on culture. Hence, it is now known as the Ministry of Home Affairs. Also, the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs is now rechristened the Ministry of Local Government and Community Affairs. The former Ministry of Tourism and Intergovernmental Relations has been relieved of the Intergovernmental Relations mandate. It is now being addressed as the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, while the intergovernmental role is now moved to the schedules of the Ministry of Special Duties. Hence, it is now called the Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Relations. For included efficiency, the hitherto separate responsibilities of the Office of Works and Office of Infrastructure have been merged, just as those of the offices of Drainage Services and Environmental Services have equally been merged. The Ministry of Rural Development and Parastatals Monitoring Office have been disengaged. Since public servants and the civil service is the vehicle and the machinery of public policy formulation and implementation, it is hoped that the restructuring will redefine, reorientate, and reposition the state civil service for efficiency towards enhanced productivity. The public service must be a partner in driving positive reform, which is imperative for democratic survival, as it is the principal tangible link between government and the people.